The ancient Greek gods were certainly no models of virtues, and basically they were allowing themselves doing whatever they wanted. So it was not a surprise that they were not very concerned of the lack of morality of humans. Nevertheless, almost all the gods were unanimous to punish one type of human behavior. So we may say just one type of sin. And it was the sin of hubris or pride. My name is Maxim. I'm a clinical psychologist, and my specialty is to bridge modern psychology with the age-old spiritual tradition. It is probably due to the Greek tradition, but Christianity, out of the seven capital sins, made pride the most important one. And many commentators say that the very reason why Adam and Eve decide to disobey and to taste the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, it was out of pride. And so within Christianity, pride is the most important sin, because if you want to be a proper Christian, if you seek your own glory, obviously you have no space for the glory of God. And the higher you put yourself, the lower you put God. That's as simple as that. Modern psychology teaches us that pride is an essential part and a very natural and normal element of the psychological development. That means that as a child, you are supposed to find reasons to love yourself and to feel that you are a worthy individual. So there is what we may call a very healthy sense of narcissism, where you can see at yourself with a positive outlook, to see that you are having qualities, that you are someone special, that deserve love, that deserve other to pay attention to you. But pride also can give the way to a very toxic attitude that usually people tend to call narcissism. And we would say it's a toxic narcissism because there is also a healthy one. So in the toxic narcissism, everything you do to promote your own image is done at the cost of the value of others. So you put really yourself above others, and as you are a more important person, you would tend to look down at people who appear to you less important. And you will not only think about yourself that you are superior, but you will try to find ways to cultivate that superiority and to have others validate that feeling. So you will, of course, display everything you have superior of them, and you will undermine whatever achievement of their own they have. So it is obvious that if you are underlying your own achievements and sometimes distorting reality to claim that everything which is positive comes from you, and if you are underlying other people's defects and to claim that everything which is negative comes from others, at one point you will get a very good opinion of yourself. But that opinion will be heavily distorted and based on a cognitive bias that is called self-serving attributional style, which is more or less everything which is positive comes from me, everything which is negative comes from other. And this creates a highly toxic environment that will makes you feel good, but most of all makes others feel extremely negative about yourself. And if they accept that superiority that you are claiming, you are entering in a highly toxical type of reaction. And the other alternative, if you don't submit, is that they will try to undermine your self-esteem and to humiliate you. So there is basically two options for people who are in front of proud person. Is you recognize them and you decide to cultivate their narcissism, and sometimes for strategic reason. Maybe you will really think they are completely morons, but you will do it to get advantage of them, or you will enter into a war of with your own narcissism against their own narcissism, and you will see who is the strongest. The common sense will tell you that the remedy to narcissism is to cultivate a sense of humility. But the human mind is quite vicious, and usually the more you try to grasp on humility and saying that you are nothing and that you are just limited, actually is fueled by a sense of pride. And it's very bizarre, but the more you claim that you are nothing, the more you put yourself in a superior position of someone who has a better and superior humility than other. So humility is not really a solution, and usually people would hide behind virtues and a false sense of humility, and it gets more and more complicated. There is no way you can ask your brain to be humble and to cultivate humility, even though if it's a nice ideal, the more you try, the more you get into a very twisted way to find some superiority. But something you can really do to help to get better with your sense of pride is to help others to get what we call empowerment. Because the more people feel empowered around you, the more they can create their own sense of self-worth. And sometimes it may turn into a little of pride, but you can really help people to feel better about who they are. And the more you do that, the less you are giving power to your own pride. It's as if pride has the magical gift to be turned into the capacity to give other pride and a healthy sense of pride that is empowerment. So if you start to help people to feel empowered, then the sense of pride disappears, because you give your pride to others. And it's a very radical way to deal with it, but it is the only healthy way to get rid of pride. And if you have a soul which is on the 7th ray, you have an intense capacity to identify all sorts of reasons to be proud, and you are hyper connected with the social scale, and which makes some people superior to others. You can handle very well all the social codes to fuel your narcissism. So somehow you are more likely to be proud. But you are also in a much better position to empower others. It's just the use of pride in a constructive way.